Hello, I will be presenting on the topic of gifted and talented children for the class of SPED 360. The Marland Report from the year 1972 defines gifted and talented children as those identified by professionally qualified persons who, because of outstanding abilities, are capable of high performance. These children require differentiated educational programs and services beyond those normally provided by their regular school programs to realize their full potential. To identify a gifted child, a gifted assessment is used. The cutoff score for differentiation is usually determined by district school boards, so it can differ depending on the area. That being said, one core agreement is that gifted students score the top 2 percentiles on one of the accepted intelligence tests. Now, there are two types of intelligence tests, which are achievement tests and ability tests. Achievement tests look for a child's knowledge in a subject area. They may be group administered, like the SAT and ACT, or they might be administered individually by a trained professional, like the Woodcock-Johnson tests of achievement. Group administered achievement tests are often standardized, and the results provide a numerical score. Individually administered achievement tests done by a professional are often part of a larger gifted assessment whose results cover the child's learning profile in more depth. Achievement tests can be done as gifted testing to screen students for areas of academic strength. Ability tests evaluate a child's cognitive abilities or intelligence quotient. These are delivered individually by a trained professional, often someone with an advanced degree in education, psychology, or social work. The results are numerical and descriptive, since they often include the professional's observations of the child, interpretation of the results, and recommendations. Ability tests can be used for gifted assessment, which provides a more in-depth learning profile for the child. Now, examples of these intelligence tests are the Wech- Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children. This intelligence test was developed by psychologist David Wechsler to be administered to children ages 6 to 16. It usually takes 45 to 65 minutes to administer. It generates a full-scale intelligence quotient. It also provides five primary index scores, namely verbal comprehension indexed, which is derived from the similarities in vocabulary subtests. It is an overall measure of a verbal concept formation, which is the child's ability to verbally reason and is influenced by semantic knowledge. Next is visual spatial index, which is derived from the block design and visual puzzle subtests. Fluid reasoning index, it measures visual spatial processing. Then there's working memory index, which is derived from the digital span and picture span subtests. It is a measure of working memory ability. And lastly, the processing speed index, which represents a child's ability in discrete cognitive domains or just processing speed. It is derived from the coding and symbol search subtests. Then we have the Stanford Binet Intelligence Scales. This is a revised intelligence test based on the original by Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon. It is a cognitive ability and intelligence test that is used to diagnose developmental or intellectual deficiencies in young children, in contrast to the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. The test measures five weighted factors and consists of both verbal and nonverbal subtests. The five factors being tested are knowledge, quantitative reasoning, visual spatial processing, working memory, and fluid reasoning. Lastly is the Wechsler Individual Achievement Test. This test assesses the academic achievement of children, adolescents, college students, and adults aged 4 through 85. This is a revision of the original Wechsler test, which was released in 1992. It uses four basic scales: reading, math, writing, and oral language. Other commonly used intelligence tests include the following. Gifted and talented children also have various characteristics, which are high performance. This is when students achieve a remarkably high level compared to others of the same age, experience, or environment. Potential for high performance, which is basically just showing the potential to achieve at a high level, even if not yet demonstrated. Asynchronous development, developing mentally at a faster pace than their chronological age, with some areas of development ahead of others. Rapid comprehension, an advanced ability to learn and process information quickly, combined with a need for constant mental stimulation. Profoundly gifted students often work at a different pace than neurotypical peers, going far ahead of pausing to dive deeply into areas of interest. intuitive understanding of the basics, difficulty concentrating on tasks that are not intellectually challenging, including repetitious materials or rote tasks. Profoundly gifted children often need less practice to master an idea, concept. Tendency toward complexity, a need to understand the big picture of what they are learning. They may ask endless why questions or prefer to learn whole to part rather than part to whole. Need for precision, an appreciation for nuance, and a need for precision in thinking and expression. They may often respond to questions with "that depends," and they may struggle with multiple choice assessments that ask them to make definitive decisions without an extensive contextual background to the questions. High expectations, a tendency to hold themselves and others to high standards, which can sometimes present as perfectionism or a very defined sense of justice. This may lead to challenges when understanding rules set by others or interacting with same age peers who don't hold the same standards. Divergent interests, a vivid imagination and niche interests may make it difficult to connect with same age peers. Profoundly gifted students may seek out older children or adults who share their interests, or they may connect with the younger children who are flexible in their thinking and engage in imaginational pursuits. Despite all this, gifted and talented children may deal with barriers such as standardized teaching strategies. Now, the average teacher is usually limited in time and skill as they must take care of a class of 20 or more students, so their teaching methods are usually standardized to meet such demands. This puts gifted and intelligent students at a disadvantage as they can easily be missed because their unique needs are not met and they are forced to work beneath their full capabilities. Inability to identify gifted children. A good majority of schools are not equipped to handle or even identify gifted and talented children. Additionally, many schools may lack the type of infrastructure or training for teachers that could benefit these children. For example, a gifted student who is ahead of their class may be told to slow down and stick to their grade level instead of being pushed forward. Social barriers. Gifted students can sometimes be looked down upon by their peers and seen as know-it-alls, which may force them to slow down to appear normal, and this will impact their ability to advance. Too much pressure. Some think that gifted students, upon identification and advancement, may often have too much pressure and thus can negatively impact them. The argument is that they're still children, and though they should be pushed ahead, that doesn't mean they should miss out on being children. Elitism. Another belief is that gifted programs are elitist and that children from privileged families and backgrounds are usually the most likely to be identified and picked for such programs, as opposed to children from poor, marginalized communities. Lastly, views on giftedness. This can be often myopic in that a child who is gifted in one area may be viewed as gifted in all areas, or gifted children may be assumed to be they'll be viewed as inherently superior to those who aren't gifted. Now, when a gifted child is identified, a teacher can utilize different teaching strategies to aid them, beginning with acceleration. Students are moved to higher level classes that cover material most suited to their abilities. This may take the form of skipping grades or telescoping, which is completing the normal curriculum in a shorter than normal period. There is also subject acceleration or partial acceleration, which advances a student in one subject, such as mathematics or languages, without changing other studies. Next is cluster grouping, which is the gathering of 4 to 6 gifted and talented students into a single classroom for the entire school day. Clusters are typically used in upper elementary grades. Within a cluster group, instruction may include enrichment and extensions, higher order thinking skills, pretesting and differentiation, compacting and accelerated pace, and more complexity in content. Colloquium, which is like acceleration as it provides advanced material for high school students. However, colloquium has students given more projects through advanced placement programs. For example, a gifted student participating in colloquium may take an AP biology and AP chemistry class while completing a course specific project in those two subjects. Compacting. This is when a student is pre-tested regular school material to establish which skills and content have already been mastered. When a student demonstrates an appropriate level of proficiency, further repetitive practice can be safely skipped, thus reducing boredom and freeing up time for the student to work on more challenging material. Enrichment. This is when students spend all class time with their peers but receive extra material to challenge them. Enrichment may be as simple as a modified assignment provided by the regular classroom teacher, or it might include formal programs such as Odyssey of the Mind, Destination Imagination, or academic competitions such as Brain Bowl, Future Problem Solving, Science Olympiad, National History Day, science fairs, or spelling bees. Pull-out gifted students are taken out of a typical classroom to spend a portion of their time in a gifted class. These programs vary widely from carefully designed half-day academic programs to a single hour each week of educational challenges. Generally, these programs are ineffective at promoting academic advancement unless the material covered contains extensions and enrichment to the core curriculum. Most pull-out programs include an assortment of critical thinking drills, creative exercises, and subjects typically not introduced in standard curricula. Self-pacing. These use flexible grouping practices to allow children to advance at their own speed. Self-pacing can be beneficial for all children and is not targeted specifically at those identified as gifted or talented, but it can allow children to learn at a highly accelerated rate. Then there are also summer programs, which offer a variety of courses that mainly take place in the summer. Summer schools are popular in the United States, but entrance fees are required for such programs. These programs typically focus on one subject or class for the duration of the camp. These classes are generally organized so that students can choose several courses they wish to participate in. Courses offered often vary between subjects but are not typically strictly academically related to the subject. Lastly is homeschooling, which is an umbrella term encompassing a variety of educational activities conducted at home, including, for gifted children, part-time schooling, school at home, classes, groups, mentors and tutors, and unschooling. In America, the population of gifted students who are being homeschooled is rising quite rapidly as school districts, responding to budgetary issues and standards-based policies, are cutting out limited gifted children programs remaining in existence, and families seek educational opportunities that are tailored to each child's unique needs. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation. I hope I have taught you something new in regards to gifted and talented children.